So also, when you're forming an argument, you're going to use 3 quick, simple steps. You're going to find the common ground. So for example, if we're using rape as a situation, your common ground is, yes, I agree with you, rape is a terrible situation. You're going to make an analogy. Let's say, for example, a mother has been raped. She decides to keep the child. She has the child, but every time she looks at that child, it reminds her of her rape. And then you're going to finish with a question. Can she kill the child once it's born? That's the structure you'll use for every difficult circumstance, rape, poverty. The girl's too young, but we'll go through that in the next slide now. So difficult circumstances surrounding abortion. We've just done rape, so now we're going to do poverty. So if someone says to you, this girl's too poor, she has no support, she cannot afford the child. Trot out the toddler again, as Scott Klusendorf says. So let's say, yes, the woman decides that she's going to keep the child, but once the child's born, she cannot support the child. Can she kill it once it's born? So everything, you're going to be drawing them to analogies after birth. When's it ever okay to kill a born child in this situation? Why, therefore, is it okay to kill a preborn child in this situation? Also, poverty, someone might say to you, poverty is a massive issue. Lots of people are suffering in African countries. We can't bring more children into the world and bring them into poverty. A question you could reply to that is our solution to poverty to kill the poor? Should our solution to suffering ever be to kill? No. We should use what money is being spent in the abortion industry to help people. Next one, health problems for the baby. And an example someone might give you is, this baby is going to be born and it's going to die after 4 days. Are you going to make that mother go through pregnancy and labour knowing that the baby's going to die 4 days later? An analogy you could use is, let's say, for example, someone I know very close to me, my best friend has got cancer and she's going to die of cancer and she only has 4 weeks to live, let's say. Do I maximise on my time spent with her, or do I minimise on my time spent with her? Do I say, oh, she's going to die in 4 weeks, let's quickly go and kill her now? No, when we know someone is going to die, we tend to maximise on our time spent with that person. So another example for health problems for the baby is someone comes to you and says, this baby is going to suffer for its life, it's going to have a rubbish quality of life, let's say it's disabled, it can't walk, it's going to have a rubbish quality of life. Why would you make that person have to come into this world and suffer? You can respond to that by saying, let's say I have a friend, she can't walk, she's suffering, and I think that her quality of life is really rubbish. Is it okay for me to go and kill her? No. When's it ever okay to kill someone if they're suffering? Shouldn't our solution to suffering be to help those who suffer and try and alleviate their suffering, not kill them? Next one, unwantedness. So someone comes to you and says, simply, they don't want this child, or you're going to make this child come into a world where it's not going to be loved, it's going to be completely unwanted. For that example, you could say, yes, I agree with you, there are lots of children in the world who aren't wanted. Is our solution to that to go to those children who aren't wanted and to kill them? So we could look at the foster care system and say there's lots of children who aren't wanted in the foster care system. Is our solution to that to go there and kill them? Now someone might say to you, oh, that's different, that's after birth. You can draw it back again to, well, what is the difference between after birth and before birth? Oh, well, before birth they're not a human being. Well, what are they? They're a fetus. You can say, what kind of fetus? Is it a cat fetus, a dog fetus? No, it's human. Well, if it's human, shouldn't it have human rights? That's the sort of flow that's going to go down for every single one. Bring it back to the baby again. Okay, next one, age. The woman is simply too young to have a baby. She's 12 years old. Are you going to force her to have this baby? Take a step back. Let's say, okay, right, I agree with you. That could be a very difficult situation. Let's say she decides, I'm going to have this baby anyway. She's 12 years old, but she feels she's just too young to support that child. Can she kill the child once it's born? No, of course not. Why not? Because it's a human. Well, was it before? That's how you're going to lead it down again, down to human rights again. Next one, no support. She simply cannot support the child, and you're going to bring it back down again. What about, you've got a born child, Mother can't support the child, can she kill it? No, of course not. What, you know, you're going to lead it down there. Again, same goes for career. A woman's got an amazing career, she gets pregnant, she decides to keep the baby anyway, but baby's messing up her career, her whole life. Can she kill the child once it's born? No, of course not. So for all of these, you recognise that I've used what's called Klusendorf calls trotting out the toddler. You use an analogy of a born child and say, what's the difference between killing a born child and a preborn child? So here are some other scenarios that you might come across in conversation. Someone might say to you, what about overpopulation? The world is so overpopulated at the moment. If you're going to keep bringing more people into the world, some of us are going to die out, and there's just too many people, the planet can't support all of us. So I would suggest you not even to go down their tracks of overpopulation. Some people say it's a myth, some people, I'd suggest don't even go down that track, but try and bring it back around to the baby again. So you could go with them. Okay, if overpopulation was a problem, let's take a highly populated country, India for example. There's 1 billion people living in India. Is our solution to overpopulation to kill off half the people in India? We could do it like that. We could drop a bomb in India, get rid of half the people. That would solve overpopulation overnight in India. No, our solution to overpopulation isn't to kill people. Do we kill people to solve problems? Of course not. Why, therefore, would we kill a preborn child? Next one, increased backstreet abortions. Someone might say to you, before the Abortion Act was passed, thousands upon thousands of women died because abortion wasn't available. It's going to increase if abortion is stopped. Your response to that could be, there's a useful example of a woman called Susan Smith. In 1994, in America, she took her 4 children in her car and drove her car into a river. And as a result, her 4 children died, but she escaped through the side window. An analogy you could make could be, well, let's say other women decided they no longer wanted their children, and they drove into a river with their children in their cars, but they didn't escape. They didn't escape out of their car in time. Should we make it therefore legal and safer for women to kill their children so they don't get harmed in the process of trying to kill them? No. We don't change laws because people are going to get harmed in the process of breaking them. Why therefore would we create a law like abortion so that women don't get harmed in the process of killing their children? Someone else might say to you, another example, what about contraception? Are you against contraception? And they might want to lead you down that track of just talking about contraception and getting it away from the preborn child. I would suggest you to bring it straight back around to the preborn child and not get lost down their tracks. So say this organisation is against the killing of preborn human beings. What do you think about the fact it's happening 800 times a day in this country? So just quickly redirecting the topic. And also, next one, defending the use of graphic images. I would suggest to you that you don't try and defend graphic images or the use of abortion victim photography whilst in a conversation with someone on the street unless they've come to the point of acknowledging that killing a preborn human child is wrong. Because you could just get on a topic talking about graphic images instead of the subject, which is a preborn child being decapitated, dismembered and disemboweled inside their mother's womb. So you can come across lots of different scenarios out the street, but what you want to do is instantly bring it straight back to the preborn child and what's happening to them inside the womb. Remember, point to the images a lot that you're holding, and just remember as well that people will not always remember much of what you say out in the streets, but they'll remember how you treated them and they'll remember the images. It's also important to know the statistics of abortions in the UK as well as globally. According to the Department of Health statistics from 2012, around 800 babies are aborted every working day in the UK. 1 out of 3 women have at least one abortion by the time they're 45 years old. 1 in 4 babies are aborted globally. 97% of abortions were funded by the NHS. And according to the World Health Organization, around 45 million preborn babies are aborted every year worldwide. And this is not including the morning after pill. Once someone has acknowledged the preborn child is a human being and should have human rights, you need to try and move them onto a position of activation, basically doing something to end the killing in the UK. So with that, you could use an example with them or an analogy. Let's say, for example, you're walking down the street and you see someone being beaten up in an alleyway. What would you do? You'd call the police, wouldn't you? You'd want to do something to help. Some people will say to you, yeah, I'd go right in there and I'd beat the person up myself, you know, get rid of the baddie. But you'd want to do something to help in any case. Well, what are you going to do to help the preborn? In this country, every year, 800 babies are being brutally dismembered, decapitated and disemboweled. What are you going to do to help end the killing? And then you can move forward from there and tell them what they can do. Firstly, the most important thing that they should do is speak about what they've seen. So speak to their friends and their family about what they've seen, about the truth of abortion, and also show their friends and family what abortion really is and what it does to a preborn child. They can receive a leaflet, they can give 5 more leaflets to their friends, they can help spread the message, they can invite us into churches, into their schools. You can write to your local MP about what you've heard, about what you've seen. You could tell them that they could come on a display and get better equipped to talk about the abortion issue. You could support financially, support those of us who are already working to end the killing if you don't have the time to do it yourself. And if you pray for an end to the injustice. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope it'll be really helpful for you for when you're talking about the abortion issue in the public square and wherever you are.